Hi, this is Jim Lewis from Model Train Technology. Today we're going to get you caught up on a project that we started a couple of nights ago. This is a Woodland Scenic building, pre-built, pre-painted building that we picked up actually quite a while ago. It's been sitting on our shelf because I've had an eye on this. It's one of the smallest buildings that exists in their catalog and their repertoire of buildings. I really like these. They're really well painted. They're set up. And this particular one, like a lot of this series, come with an LED. They're just plug system, and this is what that is. And there's comes with one LED inside glued to the roof, and then in this case they have this is a barber shop here and a tobacco shop, and they have a little paper facade behind it. And the idea is the light comes into here. In their model, when it comes from the store, comes from the factory, all of the other lights, windows are blackened out so that only a little bit of light comes through here. And it's pretty wimpy because the light is way up here. They're pretty weak. It's a nice, simple system, but just not going to cut it for what we have in mind. I would like to have a lot of animation here, and so you're going to see that when we build it out. We're going to have lights in many, we're going to divide this up into rooms on the upper floor. We're going to put a little bit more detail in separating out the tobacco store from the barber shop, some outside lighting, and all of this is going to be controlled by a single controller that we have, LED scene controller. This particular one has 16 ports. Each one of those you can connect an LED to. It already has the resistors, so very, very simple. Here's the grounding pins. Each of these has a DCC decoder on it, and as you can see, they're very thin. Now, what you also see here is a piece of white double stick tape, and we'll take that off later. But let me show you what we're going to do here. Well, this board comes in a couple of different configurations. We're going to use this thin one because we're going to put it inside the building in the back wall. And to do that, I've made a series of floors and room dividers out of styrene. You can see I glued the barbershop part back in, and then there was nothing on the tobacco side. So I grabbed a photo from online, cut it to the right size, sized it, and when we light this, you'll see the inside of the tobacco store. We're also going to add some people. Now what I did is I left a false back here and gave it a little bit of space because, as you can see, this board will fit right behind there and it will be inside the building, and we'll just have two wires only coming from this building to control and light all the animation. So you can see it's empty now. We used some of our what we call frosted glass. It's actually acetate that we spray with a special process to get this nice frosted look. I cut it up and put it inside, and now the floors and the building just fit very nicely to the other. Just drop it right in there. There you go, ready? And there we go. And so you won't see any of the parts. This is the extra wire hanging out. We'll show you that in a minute. But anyway, if you need to get in there for any reason, just pull the building right off. We picked up some people from online, those very inexpensive ones. There are some great figurines, if you will. Woodland Scenic also sells them. But what I've found that for inside the building, there's so many other things distracting the view. Just seeing the figure there is good enough. We don't have to spend a lot of money on figures that are inside the buildings. Now, for the LEDs, you might ask, we're going to use a combination of LEDs. One set are ones that we just picked up at the store that are pre-wired. You can get these on eBay or Amazon. There are two kinds of LEDs. These are the 1.8 to 3.3 volt ones, so let's call them low voltage. And then the ones you get from Woodland Scenic, the one I showed you earlier, these are 12 to 18 volt. The voltage isn't as important as the amperage going through, and that's why they tell you to put a resistor on. Well, our board already has done that for you. So all you have to do is connect the out of the mailbox package LED right to the board. We've taken care of controlling the current for you. We have some LEDs We use these surface-mounted LEDs. If you tried to solder these, you'd melt them. So we have a special process where we put the LED on these little chips for you, and there are 2 connection pads that you can solder wires on very easily, and then the back provides a great surface for gluing on the building, and we'll get to that in a minute. There are 4 different colors available, 2000 Kelvin or K, 3000, 5000, and 6500. 2000 looks more like candle, and then 3000, 5000 is a little bit more whitish, and 6500 has a blue tint to it. What's interesting about that is blue is hotter as a color than yellow, and yet they call in the parlance of lighting, warm lights are the yellowish lights, and cool lights or cool white are the blue lights. I think that's just some decorator decided that, because it has nothing to do with the heat of the light, which is how they're actually measured. So let's get started and get to work on assembling all of this to light our building.